Alright guys, it's October, so you know what that means. It's finally time to get ready for Gotham Knights. There's lots to unpack here after so many trailers and gameplay videos, so today we'll go over everything you should know before playing it. And to mark the moment, I'm doing a giveaway for a free deluxe edition of Gotham Knights on any platform. You just have to be a subscriber of the channel and follow the giveaway links down below. We're also trying to reach 400k subs, so that would also help a ton. But with that out of the way, Gotham Knights is an entirely new spin on the Batman franchise and a departure from the previous Arkham series. In this alternate version, Batman aka Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon are dead quote unquote, and it's up to the 4 remaining members of the Bat family to pick up the pieces, no pun intended. Despite its own spin, Gotham Knights will combine an expansive and detailed experience of the largest open world Arkham City to date, while still retaining lots of moments of intrigue, mystery, and detective work you might have appreciated in the Arkham games. Gotham Knights will lean a lot more into role-playing mechanics this time around, with a heavier focus on character progression, both through the use of different skill trees and evolving via story and narrative means. Warner Brothers have confirmed the focus isn't just on the superheroes and the images they represent, but also the characters behind the masks and their relationships with the rest of the group. Throughout our stay in Gotham City, players will assume the role of any of the 4 members of the Bat family, including Nightwing, Robin, Batgirl, and Red Hood, which can be swapped between at any time. But each of them will feature their own playstyle and progression paths, most evident from the several skill trees they possess. While we'll take a deeper dive into each character in a separate video, Gotham Knights will encourage you to try out all of the playable characters first before focusing on one. Nightwing's playstyle really leans into his acrobatic skills and agility. Meanwhile, Robin, on the other hand, is a lighter, more stealthy, and will focus more on tricking his enemies. Batgirl is the more balanced fighter of the group, probably most similar to Batman himself, with more focus towards one-on-one combats. And finally, Red Hood is the blocky, tank-like brawler that can instill fear into his enemies. You'll need to play by their strengths and learn their weaknesses, as the follow-up of Bruce's death has left Gotham City more vulnerable than ever before. The rise in lawlessness has caused an expansive criminal underworld to sweep through the streets, bringing back many of the gangs up to no good, but also other familiar supervillain faces. We know Mr. Freeze is one of the key boss fights from the first gameplay reveal, but Harley Quinn is also up to no good once more. The Penguin will prove to be a valuable lead into the main antagonists of the game, the shadowy organization of the Court of Owls that's been quietly running Gotham City from behind the scenes. There's many more that were either shown or hinted towards, like Clayface, who's also going to be a boss fight at some point, and others like the Man-Bat mutant enemy hinted in one of the early story missions revealed a while ago. Every one of these encounters will have you take part in multi-layered missions and levels to track down these villains and ultimately bring them to justice, so there's a build-up to all of these iconic fights that personally I'm a huge fan of. Now, to tackle these threats, our characters have to do more than just evolve, they also have to adapt. Gotham Knights will feature several skill trees for each of the 4 knights, letting you experiment with different playstyles and powers for each one of them. Playing into that RPG mechanic, your heroes will level up, which in turn will let you unlock most but not all the skills and the perks, so there are some choices to be made and these will matter in the long run. All of these abilities are split between different categories, so one of them are the skill trees. These are the main providers of mainly passive upgrades, and each of the characters will feature 3 separate skill trees that will grant you access to different playstyles with these characters. For example, Red Hood can be played as a ranged damage dealer, which in this case the marksman will be the best skill tree for him, but his middle skill tree also lets him become more of a melee bruiser and provide more bonuses towards that. Similarly, Nightwing can build upon his acrobatics, but also has skill trees to focus more on team buffs for co-op play. Robin, who can improve his stealth, can also equally work into his tech abilities and provide decoys or enhanced elemental effects. And finally, Batgirl can focus on her melee combat, but also on hacking and survivability. Another type of skill tree is the fourth one available for all characters on to the right side. This one opens up later in the story and requires you to complete corresponding challenges to unlock each of the skills present in it. Like for example, opening up the unique traversal mechanics for each of the knights, as well as special ultimate power-ups that will definitely play a role into the next skill tree, which are going to be the momentum abilities. This is the third and the final one and has to deal with just active skills that you assign to designated buttons that can further provide other greater offenses, defenses, or special kinds of attacks. Think of these as ultimate abilities. You also acquire these from completing special challenges in the open world, and many of them will benefit and even interact with the buffs received from your actual previous skill trees. For example, Red Hood's Mystical Rounds is a momentum ability, but there are plenty of passive perks in the skill trees to make it much more efficient. But with that out of the way, let's also talk about open world gameplay. The star of the show here definitely is Gotham City itself. This will be the largest and most detailed recreation of the city in any Batman game so far. This also lets you use a varied selection of tools to better traverse it, like for example, each knight has their own grappling hook and some even a bat dive, but there are other more advanced options too. One of them is the bat cycle, which can be used by any member of the group at any time, letting you traverse both in speed and in style while patrolling the streets. But with the knighthood tree, as I've said, this also unlocks unique mechanics for traversal for each of the 4 knights. We know Red Hood has the power of the Lazarus Pit, which lets him create mystical platforms to jump mid-air. Nightwing can also access his flying trapeze glider, which can be quite useful when jumping from higher up places. Meanwhile, Batgirl will kind of have that more iconic bat glide that Bruce also had in the Arkham games. And finally, Robin will use his special tag to enable short-range teleportation. But eventually, you also have to get back home, and that is going to be the Belfry, which is kind of like our base of operation and the version of the Batcave in Gotham Knights. It doesn't just serve as a place to grab the next mission, but also to interact with the other characters, handle your build, and even perform upgrades. Alfred is going to also make a comeback, and he is going to be present here, providing aid and expertise as he did for Bruce when he was still alive. But from it, we can plan our next move, and open world will provide plenty of side activities and distractions before diving in the main plot. The open world is filled with challenges to complete, enemy gangs to fight, and lots of side missions for a lot of extra loot and rewards. Which also brings us to the loot. Coincidentally, the loot in Gotham Knights is the other important aspect of evolving and adapting your characters. Through gameplay and missions, we'll get access to both stat-altering loot as well as cosmetic suits and skins. Enemies will drop loot of various rarities from uncommon all the way up to legendary, which we can then further equip in the suit, melee or range slots to further take advantage of these new bonuses. Crafting is also on the menu with a crafting bench at the Belfry, and players can find the suit blueprints while exploring Gotham City that they can further craft at that crafting bench. These of course will require various materials to craft that you can get both from dismantling existing gear and through completing missions and fighting crime. There's 44 suits across all the 4 characters, each providing different stat bonuses and promoting different playstyles, so there's gonna be lots to choose from over here to create your perfect iteration of the said Gotham Knight. You're not stuck with the looks though. The game does have a transmog system in place to let you choose your style that you want despite the items that you might have on your character, all the way up to the color schemes you can apply to each one of these, so safe to say that there's gonna be plenty enough to make your dream knight to look the way you want them to look. In any case, just a few more days until the launch on October 21st. Of course, the game comes on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, as well as the PC via Steam and the Epic Games Store. Pre-order wise, it seems that there's some nice bonuses over there. Of course, all of the versions of Gotham Knights that you pre-order right now will also include a custom Batcycle skin that personally I think it looks really cool. The default version already looked really cool in game, but it's nice to have an alternative. For the deluxe and higher up versions, these will feature other exclusive stuff like transmog skins, suits, and other starting level boosts that will likely only help you within the first few levels, point at which they are going to be exceeded by pretty much most of the things dropping in game. Finally, Gotham Knights will also launch with 2-player co-op support that will let you play through the whole game and the story with another friend out there if you want to, so totally an option. A lot more coming, of course, on the channel in the following weeks, though, as we're getting ready for launch, so expect a lot of guides and gameplay, especially around launch day. To stay up to date with that, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.